I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Pride Month brings out the rainbow flag. City leaders will lead the parade down Broadway this weekend. The mood will largely be celebratory. But for many queer people in Middle Tennessee, Pride resurfaces this existential question: where do you actually belong the other 11 months of the year? As Pride festivities hit their high mark this week, we're going to look at what it means to feel safe here and why safe spaces still matter so deeply to queer communities. Ashley Hampton is a therapist with Healing in the Margins and back on the show. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Sarah Calise is a public historian who founded Nashville Queer History, repping it with her shirt today, and is the curator of Community Voices at Vanderbilt. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And Jerry Ivory is in the business of making events that become safe spaces, even if just temporarily, CEO of MashUp Nashville. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So it's about being free of danger. Sure, I guess that's the word safety. But I sense that this is also about places where you are not just tolerated, but a place where you belong. So help us feel what a safe space is.
I think it's really important to keep in mind that for everyone, that might look totally different. Yes, a place where you belong, but also a place where you feel seen, right? Where you feel known, where you feel understood, where you walk in and there is even just like a glimmer of familiarity. And that's why representation matters. That's why safe spaces with people that look like you, love like you, move like you are so important, because that representation, I think, can foster safety just before you even walk into a space.
Jerry, what do you think of when you think of a safe space? What does it mean to you?
I think about a place that makes people feel comfortable to be their full selves, a place that no matter if you know someone in the space, that you feel like warm in the space, you feel seen, like Ashley said, that you're not worried about perception. That's what I think about in safe spaces. I think about my home church. I think about growing up and like as a PK. I think about
a preacher's kid in Memphis.
Yes.
Okay.
My dad was a preacher. I come from a long line of preachers and people who created spaces for a community. I think about my grandmother and her house and how she would cook for all these different people. And like anytime, like during church time, like anybody could walk in the door in her house and she would give them food. She would hug them no matter what color they were, no matter what they had on. She made them feel like they were home. So I think about that feeling. Like, how do you make people feel at home? We were practiced in the art of making people feel comfortable. As the oldest kid, I was told to go up to children and new families every Sunday and make them feel at home, invite them over to our house. I was told to make friends. I learned how to make friends quickly. And, you know, it's a skill, but yeah.
And I think what you're saying, I think is so important that it gets overlooked in the conversation of safety, is that was the intention.
Yeah.
It creates
the intention was, we want everyone to feel safe here. So you're going to go out of your way and you're going to smile and greet them. You're going to go up to people you don't know and you're going to say hi and connect with them. And that is the expectation. And so safety doesn't just happen. I really do think it takes immense intentionality.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of intentionality. It takes a lot of effort. And it takes like a little bit of intuition and being able to see who's feeling uncomfortable and like to see how like a person may, you know, react to certain things. Sometimes even like during our events, I may see someone in the corner of the room just kind of looking around like they don't know anyone. I don't need to go talk to the person who's there with 10 friends. I need to go talk to the person who's there in the corner looking like they're lost.
You're not going to talk to Ashley. You need to go to talk to somebody in the corner. You know?
Exactly.
That does happen. I try not to let it hurt my feelings, of course.
Sarah, like what is the through line that you've seen that like this is what makes people consider these safe spaces? Here's kind of common denominator.
Yeah, I think it's where people don't have to mask. They're not code switching. It's they are relaxed. That's where they are most relaxed, where the people around them, the space around them gives them the opportunity to be relaxed. For all queer people, we don't ever come out once. You come out multiple times over your life. And when you're in a new space, or at least for me personally, I do a lot of observing first, listening to what people are saying, trying to read between the lines to see if if it's a safe space for me to throw out a little queer joke or something, or can I mention the word, oh, I have a partner? Is that going to like trigger something in their head that maybe is not so positive and not so welcoming? Or they're going to be like, totally let it roll by them and, oh, tell me more about your partner. Like, I'd love to hear it. And then that's when I know, like, okay, they're probably a safe person to talk to. Yeah.
I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville. We're talking about safe spaces today. And I encourage you to not, if you're tempted to like roll your eyes at that or something, remember that if safe spaces are not something that's important to you, it's probably because you have not had much to fear in your life. And so we're with historian Sarah Calise, therapist Ashley Hampton, and MashUp Nashville CEO Jerry Ivory.
One of the things I was thinking about as Sarah was talking about with like the importance of like, you know, what creates a safe space. If I go into a place and I feel like everyone's performing and everyone has their mask on, then I may not feel comfortable to actually like let myself be seen and be my authentic self. It was like, oh, okay, everybody's playing the game. Like maybe I need to play the game too.
It seems like your experience being so involved with a church obviously just introduced you in how to do hospitality, how to be community. And then when, I suppose it was at one of the many times you came out, was you were maybe not as welcome. And then where do you go? And that's kind of a search for another safe space. What did that look like for you?
I think about when I first came to Nashville after because there's so many levels of coming out, and I think I had to leave home in order to really become my full self. And there used to be like these happy hour nights at like Tribe. I showed up as my full self in that moment. And I think part of like finding safe spaces is having the bravery to like be yourself. And sometimes it takes you going into like someplace that like you really don't know anyone. Yeah. But like once you are able to like really be yourself, you'll find people who also resonate at that frequency. Yeah. And like you'll kind of come together. So
well, and we're going to talk more about, you know, kind of gay bars, lesbian bars, bookstores and all the like. But for instance, Ashley, you're a therapist.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like your office has kind of become a safe space. Talk about that.
So Hampton House Counseling is actually my counseling center that we have. And what's really interesting about this is we started right in COVID, right after George Floyd, because the influx of people who were calling just me saying, I need a brown therapist, I need a black therapist, I need a queer therapist. I'm losing my family. I don't feel safe. I am deeply upset. And so what we did in that is there was a need. And I think that when we talk about safety, I think people think of violence, but I think about nervous system safety. I think about the sense of safety in self. And so, there's a ton of people needing a therapist who looks like them, who loves like them, to understand what they're going through. That is safety.
And so people, though, seem to just drop in, no appointment, almost to kind of be in the place that is safe.
Yes, we also, through Healing in the Margins, we have a counseling center in Clarksville. Yeah. And we have seen a huge need out there. And folks do just come by without an appointment and just sit in our lobby and make a snack and work in the communal area. And it's been really wonderful to see because it is a rural small town. And so the need is there. But at the same time, it's a little bit heartbreaking because that just shows to me that there aren't enough third spaces for people to show up in community.
Is there more need for kind of this safe space now? We think of our world having progressed and it being more accepting.
I think there's definitely still a need. Depending on the political environment at a certain time, there might be more of a need. As gay people became more accepted in the mainstream and just more tolerated and then assimilated more, then you started to see a decrease in gay bars and lesbian bars. Right. But just in the past few years, there's been this really cool project called the Lesbian Bar Project. They've been pointing out and doing history of all the lesbian bars in the country. When they started in 2021, there were 21 lesbian bars left in the United States. Today, there's 36.
Wow. In other words, there was kind of a low point, and then it's come back up. Well, we're going to actually get into that. Shout out to folks who are commenting. Spree Star, who says, "Now I think This Is Nashville is a safe space." All right, Spree. Glad we've convinced you. And then Brian Butler, who says, "I am so here for this conversation. Although we may have assimilated into the mainstream culture, we are still not welcomed in most spaces. It never feels like home. I'm so grateful for organizations such as MashUp who've made it safe again to seek out true community." So that's really a shout out for Jerry Ivory, CEO of MashUp right here.
So the first gay bar that we look to in Nashville's history is The Jungle, which opened in 1952 on Commerce Street.
Would people have known that it was a gay bar?
So my guess is it was not originally a gay bar. It was not owned by a gay man. It was owned by a straight man.
I see. It turned into that.
It turned into that for very specific reasons. And then its bar right next door, Juanita's, which opened in 1956. Both of them became gay bars by the end of the 60s.
So how did people find out about these places? I mean, let's say even, you're talking about soldiers who were in Huntsville or in Fort Campbell and Clarksville.
It's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of, this is going to sound so cliche, but gaydar's real.
Gaydar.
Jerry knows.
Yes.
But it's certain looks, certain conversations that you have with your coworkers, with the people you play an intramural sport with, looks at a park or on the street, that you learn about these spaces. There also was something in existence called, there's many gay travel guides that really became important in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Very similar to the Negro Green Book that was used during Jim Crow segregation. These gay travel guides.
Like where not to go to a sundown town or something.
Or if you're traveling, where to go that is safe. Where are the gay bars? Where can gay people find each other and hang out in a safe place? So you could learn about all of these Nashville spaces from those travel guides as well.
Ashley, it strikes me that we're talking about bars, and I enjoy going to a bar, but I could imagine that could be problematic if the only place people gather is bars.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I think so. I think that is a conversation that I think is happening in our community now.
Really?
What does it look like to have safe spaces, but that don't center things that actually could be unsafe for us, and put us in spaces that are also unsafe? When we think about mental health, we think about health. We know that addiction and substance abuse is high in our community, which makes sense because of coping and all of those things. Life is really hard. But yeah, I think that can't be the only place, because it's not a place where everyone can go. I think bars are beautiful and fun, and there's a place for that. But I think that is not enough for our community at all.
Yeah, and like the bar is not, they're great. They're great for like a quick conversation. They're great for, meeting someone cute. But like, where do I go to actually build community? Yeah. Where do I go to find friends that will help me that will bring food to me when I'm sick?
That's a great measure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, who's bringing food to me when I'm sick? Did you find that there were churches that were an affirming place to be, a safe place to be here?
There are affirming churches in Nashville. Right. There are a lot of spaces. There are a couple spaces that they've been doing the work for a long time.
Well, Metropolitan, like you were referencing.
Metropolitan. And I'm not sure if this is the same Metropolitan that you're talking about, led by Reverend Edwin Sanders.
It's not around anymore.
Okay, yeah. So that was a different church. Also, I think about Metropolitan Church led by Reverend Edwin Sanders, who is a straight black man who started doing HIV and AIDS advocacy work in the early 90s and has been a safe space for queer people of color of all different races for many years. But like for a lot of us, church, there's so much baggage and like trauma related to church. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes when like people are trying to like really come into their identity, they don't want to be anywhere near church. Like I know I didn't for a while. So that's not where I wanted to make friends. So having like other spaces, third spaces, like, book clubs, places like, like other places where I could actually have real conversations with people, even like house parties and stuff like that. Those are really, really important.
Ashley, can you kind of speak to how that religious trauma shows up in some of your patients? I'm guessing it's not a one-off.
I love talking about this because I grew up in a legitimate cult. So what I think happens is this. When you grow up hearing beliefs, values, they are instilled in you. You have no choice but for them to be a part of your fiber of your being. Yeah. Jerry will always be hospitable because that was a value that he was taught.
Yeah, he's talking about the Care Bears. I'm like, sounds like something your parents were teaching you in church.
He's carrying it over, but for this community. And so I think what happens, though, when you are told that who you are is not allowed and to be someone that you are not, to the point of no longer wanting to be here, you have to reject that. Yeah. Or you can't, there's no like, well, maybe I can, if your identity, if who you are means you're not welcome here, you have kind of a few choices. And so I think what happens, though, is we are all built for connection. I think a lot of people are built with a curiosity of something greater than themselves. And so if you are brave enough, if you've done your trauma work, if you've done work and you do go into a church, depending on the church, you hear things and it's just like ping, ping, ping. Like it is literally like active trauma responses in your nervous system. These are things that
you're getting triggered.
And let's take it a step further. You go to an affirming church, but you've been brainwashed. So the preacher's saying really wonderful things, but your brain is like, that's not true. But then you're like, wait, that's actually what I believe. So it is actually very, very hard to sit in a space of reconstruction after you've deconstructed your faith and your religion.
But it sounds like what we're talking about here is actually trying to create something that operates, it has the function that a lot of churches do.
110%.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what's really, that is one, what I think is so sad about what church has done to people. But I also do think that that is also what is so wonderful, because it does create community and it does foster a sense of safety and connection. It's just really hard to find the space that does feel that way.
Sarah, how did East Nashville become known as a haven? And I ask this as someone who grew up there.
There's never really probably the biggest question or the most popular question people ask me is, where was Nashville's gayborhood? Yeah. And I don't really have an answer because the queer history has been spread throughout Nashville. Neighborhoods around the universities, particularly Belmont and Vanderbilt, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s were big safe spaces, or safe neighborhoods, gay neighborhoods, because a lot of our leading LGBTQ activists in the 80s were Vanderbilt faculty and staff. So a lot of things started to center in Midtown, in Church Street. And then that's when in the 90s, you had like 5 or 6 different LGBTQ bars and businesses along Church Street, that 1700 block, including Out Loud bookstores. There have been a couple bookstores in Nashville's queer history that have been safe spaces for gay folks.
Let's go ahead and go to the phones. We've got Emmett on from Nashville. Emmett, you're on the show. Go ahead.
Hey, you got my favorite people on the show right now.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about safe spaces. I think that we associate them with architecture too much, with buildings, and I think that people make spaces safe. I think that one of the biggest things that we need to make sure that we're doing to create safe spaces is building trust and understanding that being visible takes a lot, and then it's a lot of responsibility to hold each other in safe spaces. And I would like to see more of us rely on each other to build that family and to, not rely so heavily on the buildings, because we won't always have them.
Well, Emmett, really appreciate that reflection. Jerry, you're kind of, you're almost an architect of making events that are, not building centric. So what's the secret to you don't have to have a building to make it safe?
People, investing time in people, talking to people, actually connecting with people. Like I said earlier, we are intentional, especially in like MashUp events, for everyone when they come to connect with someone. We have a campaign called the Summer of Care, and it is all about creating safety in a world of violence. For our Summer of Care, we have a special group of volunteers called our MashUp Care Bears, and their entire job at all of our events is to go up to people, ask them how they're doing, and to like make them feel comfortable, to like embrace them, and to just make them feel seen. If anyone comes into our, plays, our event, no matter what building it is, what business it is, we're connecting with the people. We're asking their names and their pronouns. We're concerned about and trying to get to know them. Like, people are going to leave MashUp events being connected with people. They're going to know someone that they did not come into that room knowing. So that is a way that we cultivate safety. We have to build a community of safety and a network of folks. And yeah.
Getting a hug from a Care Bear sounds like a great idea. Emmett, thanks for the call. I'm interested, Sarah Calise, about these sort of formal groups and safe spaces, whatever they are. Are they on their way up or are they on their way down?
That's such a great question. I would say there's so many always coming and going. I think
it's
since
churning.
I've moved to Nashville. I was in Murfreesboro before. I moved to Nashville proper in 2022. And just in this, 4 years, I think I've seen several like informal and formal groups come and go. There was like an outdoorsy queers group for like a couple years, and they kind of, I don't know.
Well, you probably need a charismatic leader who's going to see it through. And
you need charismatic people to come to the events to make it like worthwhile, because a lot of these people are doing all of this for free.
Yeah.
Volunteer work because they need the community and they want other people to find their community. So,
well, Jerry,
it's hard.
Jerry, so MashUp does this. I assume you all are sometimes hired to do events, or is this? Do you take a goodwill offering? How do you make this work as a business?
That would be so nice if more people hired us to do events. I would really appreciate that. Please do hire us, because we're actually really great at it.
MashUp Nashville.
Yes. It takes a lot of work to create community. And there's a lot of people who are just doing it out of the goodness of their heart. One of the things I'm really proud of with us at MashUp, a lot of the events and stuff, and why you see us doing so many things, like we had about like 9 and 10 events like this month alone.
Wow.
But a lot of it was done through collaboration. So we're working with other community organizers, other people, just people in the community, people in within our sphere who's like, hey, I want to do this yoga event. I want to like create a group for Black queer Christians who are like questioning. And we bring our resources. We help support it. We put marketing behind it. We bring like some organization behind it. And it helps people do the things. MashUp is a 501c3 organization. There are people who donate to us. We have a couple of really great funders and stuff. But honestly, it's really hard. There are like months that like the people who like work for MashUp, and it's only a couple of us, where like we may not really have enough to like pay salaries.
Yeah.
Like that is like the thing of like grassroots nonprofit. Ashley knows about it. It's just really hard. Every month, like we're trying to figure it out. So like donations, volunteers are super important to us. It's just, we make it work though.
Safe spaces aren't free, whether it's in a building or just an event. We've heard a lot. We've learned a lot. Thank you so much, Jerry Ivory of MashUp Nashville, Ashley Hampton, Healing in the Margin, and Sarah Calise of Nashville Queer History.